Alrighty, welcome. My name is Barbara Bolton Schreiber, and I am the founder of Sisters Rocking Courage. And today we're going to be talking about courageous conversations. And the reason that this has come to be, I'm so excited to be speaking with Jody, Newcomer, about this. The reason that these conversations have come to be is because as women who are wearing many hats, we really struggle sometimes with the dreams that we have and then how to bring them to life. And then we end up putting ourselves last. So Sisters Rocking Courage is a group of women, and it's an entrepreneurial program that helps women figure out the little steps that they want to take to bring that dream into life. And we're going to be talking about that today with you, Jody, about how it's worked for you. So go ahead and introduce us to who you are, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. So hi, everybody. My name is Jody Newcomer, and I'm so excited to be here today. Barb and I have been friends for a long time and worked together years ago. And I had this brainchild of an idea about Women's Touch International years ago. And like Barb said, you wear many hats, and I kind of put it on the back burner for several years, but ready to launch. And so I am all about helping others find their confidence. So I help them, I call it finding their light, finding their energy, and radiating that from the inside out. So I say to everyone that someday I would love to be the fairy godmother. So I've now coined myself the fairy godmother of light. So I have a program setting up to just encourage and inspire and empower and teach people to really be confident about themselves, find their identity, and then live their passion. So
that's fantastic. So we're going to dig into that a little bit more today, Jody, because it's the fun part of and as you talk about this, that piece that lights you up. Mm-hmm. And for other women that are looking for, where they are in life, and especially when we're talking about women in transition, what that looks like, how they can light themselves up. Mm-hmm. So let's get into some of the fun things that we were going to talk about in regards to, I know one of the things that you talk a lot about are the many hats. And that was one of the things, like when women are wearing a lot of hats, and you definitely can speak from that. Like what's the first step sometimes?
So I think, when we wear a lot of hats, we wear a lot of hats at the same time because we have all these different roles, and we don't know how to wear one hat at a time. We dump them all on. So, you're trying to be a mom, a wife, whatever your job is, a teacher, a friend, a family member, and you're wearing all those things at the same time. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you kind of lose focus. And so you feel like you're weighed down sometimes. So if you're, let's say, for example, that we're having this conversation right now, but I'm thinking about and also worrying about something that's happening with a family member. And then I'm worrying about making sure that I have things posted for my class. You're thinking about all that stuff at one time. It's hard to focus, and it just feels overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So, wearing all these hats at one time is difficult. So if we can learn to just kind of put things to the side for a moment, focus on what we're doing now. Like I'm talking to you right now, Barb. This is exciting. Focusing on this, right. And then you get to enjoy that more. So you don't feel weighed down. You don't feel overwhelmed. And it's just exciting. Then I get to talk to you and enjoy that moment. So.
Well, and one of the things that I found with it too, is even though so it's a balancing thing. Exactly. And it gives us more energy. Your face just lit up as you were talking about that. And it gives us more energy to live the other parts of our life that we're still doing. Because that's one of the things that just amazes me and impresses me about you are the many hats. And you've got transitions going on at the same time. So, you have all of the same ones that we have, like wife, mother, but then niece and aunt, uncle, all of them. Well, yeah, you're not the uncle.
I'm not an uncle, but I have uncles.
So there's just like
last time I checked, I wasn't an uncle.
When you're wearing all of those hats, like you're right, it does start to feel weighted down if that's where our energy goes and where our focus goes.
Think about it, Barb, your energy, it's 100%. You're the type of person, I'm the type of person, when we do something, we give it our all, 100%. So if we take that 100% of our energy
Yeah.
And now we're trying to divide it between different things. I can't give this 100% at the same time, this 100%. So, we have to learn how to give it your all. So, yeah.
Because when you go back to that other hat and put that other hat back on, now you can give that 100% because
Exactly.
you're energized by doing what lights you up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was
I was just going to say, and I learned that lesson the hard way, and once I figured that out, it just made all the difference in the world. So you can enjoy things more.
Well, and there's that whole piece where when we're trying to do it on our own, we just look at each thing that we're doing as overwhelming because there's not somebody there to help guide that path for what are the pieces and that's one of the things that we've worked on together is what are the important pieces. Because as creative minds, we tend to, and especially as trauma survivors, we tend to look at what all the other options are. There's this hypervigilance. Well, I could do this, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. But when we take time to be present 100% in that moment, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, be present in that moment, we can finally figure out what's true for us.
That's true. So the power of focus is amazing. And I'm one that sometimes it's difficult, because I'll be doing something and it's like, ooh, butterfly, but when you focus on something, number one, you have that energy. And number two, you do a better job at something. So, and it takes away a lot of that overwhelmingness, a lot of that pressure. And when you realize you're doing things and it's not a competition with each other, but when you find people to help, and a lot of times I think people struggle with asking for help because they think that that's a bad thing. When in actuality, we're all stronger together.
We are.
So, reach out to people that you connect with, and build that strength together.
I love that you said it's not a competition because I don't know, somewhere in our society, we've gotten to this place where as women, we're strong. We know we're strong. We know we can do it all. We can juggle things and we can keep things going. And from the outside, it looks wonderful. We're doing a great job. It's the inside parts that we really know the effect that has. And it's not a competition. When we are clear with what we are doing, with what we were born to do, we don't compete with anybody at all.
No, because we're all different, right? We're all here for a different reason.
Yeah.
And so, we're all on our own path.
Yeah.
But we're on our paths together, if that makes sense. So they're intertwined. Which is really important, but we're all here for a reason. And you can figure out what your passion is, what your purpose is. So like you said, Barb, when you have that vision, all of a sudden when you have that vision, as it gets clearer, things just start to come to you. You're like a magnet.
Yeah.
So there have been pieces that have been here, there, and everywhere for me for years. And now finally it's amazing. And you and I have talked about this. All the pieces are starting to come together and they fit beautifully. And I think that just makes you more excited and it just makes you stronger.
Absolutely. And it really does make a difference for knowing that that what we're doing makes a difference.
Absolutely.
There's this piece of finding your power. And we've heard other people talk about it. We didn't actually, this wasn't part of what we were going to talk about, but the way the conversation is going, there's this piece about finding our power. When we are wearing all of our hats at the same time, there's a part of our power that just leaks and seeps away from us. And so that once we know where our power is and that we're in our power, it just gets easier.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does. And, and your power is that energy and that light, that confidence. And when you do things like that, these are things that you enjoy. You're excited, you're stronger, you're motivated, so it just makes all the difference.
I was just checking in to see if there were any questions from anybody who's watching, just so we can bring that into the conversation, because that would be my question that I would have to some of the women watching is, what is it that you're doing that keeps you in your power? So that's a great question. What keeps you in your power? And is there something that you want to be doing that because there's that other piece, Jody, for years you knew, right?
And I knew, but I didn't know how to get there. And so it was finding the how to get there. I used to say for a long time, I love to make a difference for people. I love to help others. I love to motivate and inspire. And for years, and I'd even say this in class, so I teach at a community college,
Mhm.
and I would say, you know, I'm not going to be the Oprah Winfrey's of the world. I didn't think that I'd be the Oprah Winfrey's of the world and make a difference on the whole world. But I always said, if I can make a difference for that one person,
Mhm.
and they make a difference for one person, and, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's that passing that on, and that's part of that power that you have. So I love to encourage and inspire and motivate people, you know, and some days I say you might be the only bright spot for somebody today.
Absolutely.
And it's not these big grand things, Barb. Sometimes it's just the simplest thing that can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know within our group, like when you talk about the simplest things, it's just because we do communicate in group.
Mhm.
And so sometimes it's just an idea or an acknowledgement or just a little heart emoji, like I'm thinking of you
oh
kind of.
yeah,
So yeah, that whole piece that we're not alone, because as women, when we're doing this, when we're trekking on our path, and sometimes I talk about the whole Sherpa thing where, you know, we're going up that mountain by
Mhm.
ourselves, but, you know, doing it together makes the difference, because sometimes it's just that little shift to know
Mhm.
that if you reach out to somebody, either A, you can learn from them, you can get
Absolutely.
inspired. Like one of the reasons we're having these courageous conversations about how to find the courage to shine and soar is so we can share some of the courage. Like as we move on this journey, we want to bring other people with us.
Absolutely.
So that whole, we can share it. We don't have to create it all by ourselves on our own.
Well, think about it this way, you know, if you feel like you're by yourself and you're trying to do something on your own, you're
Mhm.
like this little drop of water in the ocean.
Yeah.
But if you realize all those drops are connected,
Mhm.
now you're this big wave.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference. So I think people just have to realize their value. And I think a lot of times people don't realize their uniqueness, their gifts, you know, and
Yeah.
they just brush it off. Oh, that's not important. I'm not important. And we all are, no matter who you are,
Mhm.
no matter what job title you have, what your job is, no matter where you live or how much money you do or don't have in the bank,
Mhm.
we're all important and we're all
Yeah.
different for a reason. And so, you know, that's something that we should embrace and feel excited about instead of feeling pessimistic about it.
Well, it's so funny that you mentioned that, how we think about ourselves, that piece of it is when we're in a group together, we would never, I don't want to sound so harsh. Um, we speak more harshly to ourselves than we do to others.
Absolutely.
And one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it to others. So when we're, because you're a teacher, so so when we're in groups together, we are often encouraging building up other women, but we don't do that to ourselves as much.
Correct. You're right. How many times did you hear the phrase, we are our own worst critic,
Mhm.
right? We're harder on ourselves.
Yeah.
And you said about helping lift each other up. A lot of times, if you tell people to move forward or to do something like, you know, where do they see themselves or what's the next step?
Mhm.
You said about the mountain, they look at it as this mountain they have to climb, and it's like one leap to get to the top. And in actuality, it's more of the mindset or the thought process. So I have this expression, get runged, you
Mhm.
know, and it's about climbing that one rung of the ladder at the time at a time to get to the top. But it's not just climbing that ladder alone. We're reaching up to the people there because we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're also grabbing the hand of the person behind
Yeah.
and pulling them up. So we're climbing together.
That
And I
gives
think
me
that that's,
goosebumps.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's important, you know.
So that leads into a great question of what has surprised you about your entrepreneurial journey?
I think finally having the vision and realizing, first of all, realizing I can do something, I can help, I can make a difference,
Mhm.
and finally figuring out how to go about doing that. So, you know, I've been doing that in the classroom for years without even realizing it.
Mhm.
And so the feedback that I get from students and everything, I'm like, wow, you know, it does matter and it does make a difference. And then so not only in the classroom, but I hope that I bring that to my friends and my family. And, you know, I've been blessed to be surrounded by an amazing family and a group of friends and things, colleagues. But now to finally realize I can also take that to another platform and another level
Mhm.
and reach people, you know, and again, not only to help them, but my thing is, you know, shine your light So I say kind of radiate your confidence from the inside out,
Yeah.
but then you're going to pass that on. So you're going to help somebody else and they're going to help somebody else. So just that nudge to start that positive ripple effect in the world. And now I finally realize I can,
Mhm.
I just haven't done it yet. And now
Love
I
that.
think the greatest power, Barb, is now I discovered I can do it.
Mhm.
Now I've been figuring out how to do it. So the pieces are coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it's along the same lines of just being surprised by how energizing it is.
Mhm,
You know, the things that we thought were going to be too hard or too scary, they
mhm.
just aren't when you're doing it not by yourself.
Correct.
Yeah. I know that's a bit of a double negative on there, but yeah.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, it
Mhm.
really does make a difference, and you have that support and encouragement, and I think a lot of times too, there are people that try to push other people down
Mhm.
because maybe they're jealous. They don't want to see you succeed because they're afraid to take the steps themselves. And so those are the people you don't really need to have around right now. You know what I mean?
Right. Because, and what's funny about that, sometimes folks that are like that will come on board absolutely as they see you succeeding.
Mhm,
So there is like so much of our world or society is based on fear.
mhm,
And so there's a fear that, oh, you're going to leave me behind, or there could be other fears that come into it. So
mhm.
as we do find our new tribe, and it's not that we're going to leave other people, we're just looking at where we want to go and who's going with us, and we'll bring others with us at the time that we can do that.
You say about that, Barbara, with fear. I heard this phrase recently and I thought, how you have those aha moments,
Mhm.
right? So I'm inspired by people, I'm inspired by words and quotes. And I heard that people aren't afraid of darkness. People are actually afraid of, or they fear, the light.
Wow.
So, and I thought, oh my gosh, we're not afraid of the darkness because so many of us we're used to living in that. We're used to being afraid. We're almost afraid to step into the light. I'm not saying step into the light,
Mhm.
but to step into that, what excites you? What do you want to do? What is your passion?
Mhm.
And people are more afraid to do that. And I thought, oh my gosh. So there are more people that they'd rather live in the darkness, live in fear, than to embrace and have the courage
Mhm.
to go after what they really want to do and to really discover who they really are.
Absolutely. I just noticed for the comments, we've got a couple of folks that are watching. Elka was saying that the climbing together is wonderful. And so when you
Absolutely.
talk about like what those fears are, I love how you're talking about that we're afraid of the light, not of the darkness. It's such
Mhm,
a different way of looking at things.
mhm,
And that's when, when we come together, being able to have these different perspectives. I know one of the things that I had to learn, it was funny, I was working with another coach and they were really showing me that what I thought to be true about me was actually not true.
hmm.
And so it was a situation we were working through, and I talk about my migraines fairly frequently that aren't happening nearly with the frequency at all.
That's good.
And I had grown to believe for over a decade that I couldn't eat oranges because they would trigger a migraine.
Oh, so
So,
did, oh, wow, you can't
so
eat oranges. Okay.
but no, I can, because
Oh,
we talked through the story. And so it's just fascinating to have these things when we get to a certain point in life, we think we know who we are. We
right.
don't.
Listen, we rediscover every day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We do. We rediscover every day. And if you think of your life as a book,
Mhm.
I always say that don't be afraid to share your story. And we've lived our story for a reason. So even if we go through bad things at the moment, we don't understand why we're in the middle of it. And everybody does,
Yeah.
you know. But when you go through that stuff, it changes you and keeps turning you into the person that you need to be.
Mhm.
So our life is all about each individual page, each individual chapter.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know though, Barb, that every day it's kind of like a clean page. So it's a new discovery. So you
Mhm.
find out, oh, so you found out you can eat oranges again, right? That's an aha moment.
Well, and once you start taking those steps, you're like, well, what else is there?
Exactly,
What
right?
else is possible? Yeah.
Right.
We have Sierra watching, Steve, Kristen is also. So if you have any questions, folks, just pop them up there and
Yeah,
we will get to
absolutely.
them. So
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions.
yeah, says the teacher, says the professor. How has your life changed over the past 6 months as you've started taking these steps?
Oh my gosh, it's changed a lot. I've been just more inspired. I think that I have I definitely have a different thought process over the last 6 months. You know, when COVID first happened, I'm
Mhm.
a very outgoing person, people person. And when COVID happened, me as an instructor, we went remote. So that was difficult. Being inside and not being around people has been difficult. And then when, for example, in our fall semester, having remote classes, I missed that connectivity and everything. And I was focusing on what I missed, and here's all the negatives about it.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, the last 6 months, I had a mind shift. And I said, what are all the positives about it, right?
Yeah.
What can we do? And so then I recognized, uh, instead of always being face to face, you can be on a remote platform like this, a virtual platform,
Mhm.
reach so many people. And so it was kind of like, oh my gosh, now I realize that I do like to make a difference and I want to make a difference. And so I have that mindset that before I thought, no, I can't do it. And now I can, and I'm doing it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's a level that I want to get to. And now I know I will get there. I'm not there yet. So it's that power of yet,
Mhm.
but I will definitely get there. And so it's those steps, right? One rung at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, complete shift in power and mindset over the last 6 months.
So this is perfect because Elka is asking, how do you manage these many hats? So in the past 6 months, as some of your energy has been shifted to working with Women's Touch International, how do you manage all of the hats that you have?
So you learn to just take some time. So when I'm doing some, as much as possible,
Mhm.
when you're doing something, you're working on something or being with people, you're focused on that moment and that time. So, you literally put one hat on and you're doing that. You take that hat off, you put the new hat on instead of trying to have them all on at the same time.
So what if the hats show up at the same time?
Then sometimes you have to multitask a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Or so you either multitask for a little while, right?
Mhm.
Because there are some things that, or you prioritize. But sometimes if the priorities are lined up, they're equal,
Mhm.
you have to multitask. But otherwise, you prioritize things and you say, okay, what's most important at this very moment?
Yeah.
And then you get to the other, you put the one hat down quick and then you get the other hat. And I'm still learning. I mean,
Mhm.
I've made big strides in the last 6 months, and it's a learning process every day, and it's just to try and be cognizant though of that. So to try and be cognizant of focusing. One thing that I'm still working on, and you can ask family and friends, if I'm engaged in something, but if one of my family members calls, so if one of my girls calls or something like that, you're excuse me, and
Yeah.
on the phone or whatever. But even that, you learn how to signal things, and so I said, for my family, we have a code that if they need something right now,
Mhm.
here's a way to let me know that. And that way I know here's the priority for sure. So,
Absolutely. That's great advice.
mhm,
Yeah. Because I know the other thing too that we do is we break things down in smaller bites.
mhm,
But I love that code. Like if it's a priority, then
mhm,
that elevates it. So
mhm,
that the piece of anything that we're working on from the business perspective, we try to break it down into very small bites. And then we also do, what are the things that you need to be in person for, and what are the things you can be thinking of,
correct.
so you can still be present with the other hats that you're wearing. But then, as you're going to sleep, like, okay, this is what I want to think about as right before bed. And there's those pieces. So when you're managing the multiple hats, there is a way that you can be more present with each hat. But it is that piece of being in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does, it makes a big difference. You know what I mean? And like I said, it gives you that focus. It's exciting. And then you make people, so if let's say it's with people,
Mhm.
you always want to make people feel special and feel important. You
Always.
never
Mhm.
want to be disrespectful or make somebody feel like they're not important.
Yeah.
So even those little things, Barb, like you said, send somebody a heart. So I've been in a process now of every day getting in touch with another friend, and
Mhm.
whether I send them a little text, a little emoji, make a phone call, just to let them know, hey, I care. We might not get to talk every day, but I'm always thinking about you. And, and something cute that I do. So I have two daughters, Steve and I have two daughters, and, always give them their good night hugs and things while they're
Yeah,
away. So you said one of the hats, empty nesters. And when the girls are
yeah.
away, it's a transition. So I send them a picture with something motivating, and then we have a little thing and I say, I love you 241. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like my good night hug. And so
Yeah.
it's, I love you too much, forever, all at once.
Oh, I
So,
love that.
yeah, just to make people feel special.
Well, that's such a really good point about doing it proactively.
Mhm.
So often if we're doing things reactively, then we're not in our power.
Exactly.
And I know, like, one Valentine's Day, I know Valentine's can be tough for women sometimes.
Mhm.
So one Valentine's Day, I thought, you know what can I do? I was having a rough day and I went down through my text messages and I'm pretty sure you were one of the ones that got this, because I set my challenge, like, who are 25 women I can just send a happy Valentine's Day message to first thing on, it was a Tuesday.
Mhm.
And it's odd that I remember that, but
Yeah.
so I got to 25 and I just sent like little different messages. I pulled gifts up and thinking of them, letting them know. And I pulled up 25 through my text messages pretty quickly. So then I was like, wait, can I do 40? Well, next thing you know, I was working towards 50. And not everyone responded, but it didn't
Mhm.
matter. So that took me all of maybe 20 minutes
Mhm.
to just reach out proactively and let women know that I was thinking of them. And there's just like this whole, when you're talking about the 241, oh my goodness, that is a special, we call that making eye contact.
Mhm.
And it's something that if it's one of those bite-sized things that you can do that really does make a long-term impact, that's really, really special.
And Barb, you just have no idea, what's going on in somebody's life at that moment. And
Yeah.
even something that simple, a quick little message from a friend can make all the difference in the world at that moment. So, it's about connections too. So it's about finding out who you are. It's about finding your confidence, and it's about connecting with others. It's important. It's those pieces.
And I see my cat fishing in the water bowl right behind me.
It's
So,
cute to watch. We have a hermit crab, so not exciting to watch.
so speaking of those moments, that's another thing that we do is take the time to enjoy and
Absolutely.
really, really see what's going on around us. So welcome to Wolfgang.
Well, Barb, you said about, taking a moment to think. Another thing that's happened over the course of, the last several months with all of us, with, well, year and a half now, I think just a different perspective. And now we finally, the pace has slowed down a bit and our perspective has changed. And now we look at what's really important.
Yeah.
And now you can focus on spending a little bit of extra time. Enjoy watching your cat play. Enjoy. I live next to a farm. You have no idea how much fun it is to watch cows. So the calves are out there playing. Never did we take time to do that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's little things. Just take a moment
Yeah.
and catch your own breath and breathe, and then share that joy and share that excitement with others.
Yeah, I think that's such a key part of finding your own path. We talk about with
Mhm.
your finding your entrepreneurial path, um,
Mhm.
really, so you can spread hope and achieve financial independence. So I think that that's such a key part of taking the time in the space, because one of the things that we do, I used to be on the corporate ladder
Mhm.
in the nonprofit world, and there was never a time to take a deep breath, even just breathing into your stomach. Like, I was always doing those shallow breaths because there was always something next, and the list was long. And so when you're talking about like the cows, I'm waiting to hear the cows.
They were moving a little while ago, but I don't know if you could hear it. So
But those are the pieces, that just, and we talk about the gray space, because when we take the time to really just honor what's going on around us, we're also taking the space, the time and space to honor what's going on inside of us too.
absolutely. And just, well, yeah, be grateful. Be grateful for
Yeah.
everything, those little things and those big things. So I
Yeah.
think it's really important.
So this kind of ties into when we first started on, because that whole courageous path. So we know let's talk about the first time that we learned how to ride a bike.
Mhm.
It didn't, like, we didn't just do it, right?
No, I still have scars.
But we kept doing it.
We did, right?
And we had people around us that were encouraging us to keep doing
Mhm.
it. So what is another example that you have, like, that you can remember, something that took courage the first time that you did it?
Oh boy, I think there's a lot of those moments, right? So if I think of one that's been more recent,
Mhm.
I could give you moments all throughout life, but I think of one that's been more recent. I obviously I like to talk, right? So my father told me years ago that I have the gift of gab. So I love to talk, I love to tell stories, excite people. And I said, I can stand up in front of a room of 1,000 people and talk, and not a problem.
Mhm.
But I love to sing. But it was always about singing with a group and singing in a choir.
Mhm.
And my brother is a very gifted songwriter. And he came to me, and I've been encouraging him for years. And I said, Paul, you really have to get out there and do something. And so we started to do music together and sing. And that was huge for me, to step on a stage, just
Yeah,
two of us. That took a
absolutely.
lot of courage. And
Mhm.
so, with our journey with Resolute Light, and just that had me stepping way outside of my comfort zone. But now that we're doing it, it's exciting now. So I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Mhm.
And it's a whole other side of life now. So you grow. When we step outside of our
Right.
comfort zone, we grow, and then you find, oh my gosh, I like this, and I like to do that. And it's not so scary.
Well, and that's that, we're gonna get to that question too. That's the whole, like, then what's next? I didn't think I could do this, and I've done this, and now what's next? You
Mm.
have another story about singing that's pretty fantastic, about your determination
Mm.
from when Up with People
Oh yeah.
was, when you had applied for that, and then they came back to town, and yeah.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to travel with a group called Up with People. And I had seen them in high school. They came to my high school, and it planted a seed.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that someday. This was a group that you travel around the world with for a year. They did a 2-hour professional musical, community service. And I thought, I want to do that someday. And they came to an area close to me. I went to a show and I interviewed, but when we did, you put things about your background, your ethnicity.
Mhm.
And so I did things like from my family background, uh, German and Polish and things. Well, here they had people with those backgrounds. When I did my first interview, we didn't have, we weren't understanding each other as much.
Mhm.
And then, so I thought, okay. And then I had some very big transitions happening in my life. And I thought about Up with People, and I said, you know what? I want to go back to that. I really want to do that someday. So I was literally thinking, you know what? I'm going to make a video and send it to them. This was before we had all this technology, and
Yep.
God, we didn't have cell phones. And all of
Mm-mm.
a sudden I heard that they were coming to my town. And I thought, you know what? I'm going. And I already had it in my mind. I'm going, I'm interviewing, and I'm going to make it. And I did. I mean, I went into that so excited and so confident. And when I got my letter that I was accepted into the program, and then it took a village to help me get there. So, my family helped support, my friends helped support, because there was a fee to participate in the program,
Yeah.
and my community rallied behind me. So, but that was a huge moment. And then to make connections with people around the world now, and to have that whole concept, when you go into a town, you make a difference there. So yeah, and that's been, oh my gosh, I've taken that Up with People and that experience with me throughout my life.
Well, and you still have, yeah, you have reunions with them, and
We have
yeah.
reunions. And the power of technology now. My cast, fortunately, has been very close.
Mhm.
So we get to connect with each other. We get to see our families. We've watched our kids grow up, and just, it's amazing. I just talked to one of my friends last night that, you go every so often. And then my oldest daughter, Sierra, actually got to travel with them a few years ago. So that was exciting, to see
That's
that.
amazing.
And then my daughter, Taylor, the program is changing everything. And obviously they're not traveling right now, but just to go to the shows, both of my girls got to participate in kids casts at reunions. And so, and my husband, before we were even married, I took him to an Up With People show, and he actually was brought out of the audience and up on stage. So my family has been
Has
swept
all
up
been, yeah.
by Up With People. So
Mhm.
there's two things that they know that the big part of, and that is Up With People. And so they relish in it. And then we are a Disney family. So,
Mhm.
just that connection together. So
Absolutely. So that's the thing to really encourage women who are watching to just remember that time, whatever time it was, multiple times, when you really did pursue something that was that important to you. And I just think about, like, even when I heard somebody talking recently, when we learned how to walk, when you start walking, and with your girls being little, there's so much encouragement and support and clapping and like, you
oh,
can
yeah.
do it,
Yay.
yay, look, she took a step, she's taking, look,
Uh-huh.
she walked across the room. Think about all of that encouragement, as I have goosebumps. And then who is your team, your tribe, that is providing that encouragement for you today? Because that is, as human nature, that is some of what we actually need to do the things that are scary for us.
Mhm.
So I love that. I love your story. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Barb, and if there is somebody that they do feel like they are alone,
Mhm.
right? Don't stay alone. Don't feel like you have to stay alone. Don't think that reaching out to somebody is a bad thing. That's good. That's powerful to reach out. Don't stay alone. You know what I mean? And when you can surround yourself with supportive people, and like I said, I've been very blessed to be surrounded by supportive family and friends and colleagues, students, everything. The support from you, Barb. And
Mhm.
you and I lost touch for a long time,
It is. Mhm.
and when we reconnected, it was just makes such a difference.
It really does. And that's the whole piece. If you think that somebody, and you talked about this earlier, that whole competitive piece, we are not competitive. Women, if you find your women, if there's somebody that you want to reach out, that you feel resonates, because we're not all meant for everybody.
Correct.
We have our tribes. If you feel that there's somebody that resonates for you, reach out to them. We've got technology now.
Absolutely.
Pop something in the DMs, or
Mhm.
do a message on Facebook and we'll be providing our contact information below. But honestly, just reach out to somebody, even if you feel that they are so far ahead of you. That is what we can do in this world now. And we do Clubhouse events, so we're talking about adding more of those. You
Mhm.
have access to anybody today. It's amazing how
It's
much the world
amazing.
has changed.
Mhm.
And people are open to it. I know I've got
Right.
a couple of calls. That's one of the things that surprised me about the entrepreneurial world is every week is different now.
Mhm.
Before, when I was just going through the steps and I was living in the darkest parts of my life, I knew what it was going to look like every day, every week, every month.
Mhm.
And I've got 2 calls this afternoon with people that I'd never known before last week. And so there's just a piece of that. Reach out. We're here for each other, and we can do so much more together. I'm sounding like a
Absolutely.
broken record.
No, but it's true. But and each day again, it's that new page. It's that next adventure. And
It is
Barb,
adventure.
it's and when you connect with people, when
Mhm.
women get together, don't you feel recharged, right? That's part of the
Mhm.
whole connectivity and thing. It just recharges our batteries, right? And that's all part of it too. So we constantly need to recharge and everything. You get together with your friends, you
Mhm.
get together with family members, you're recharged,
Oh yeah. Well, and we
huge.
meet in group. We meet every other Friday, and so there's 7 of us, I think, 6 of us,
Mhm.
from anywhere from California to Canada to Germany, the United
Mhm.
States. And what is the first? It's like wrangling cats. The first 10 minutes, the energy is just because we're talking about our wins for the week, and it's
Mhm.
just so much fun, and it does recharge.
Absolutely.
And then we know we've got what we need to make it another week or another 2 weeks. And what we do know about the entrepreneurial journey is when we start taking those steps, other stuff comes up. And
Absolutely.
so there becomes this fight for, like, are you really serious about this? But you're needed over here, or what about this? So it's just great to have the energy borrow that we can from our friends.
And you're right, Barb. And celebrate every little step, every little thing. Celebrate it, right?
Yes.
For example, if they're on a journey to be more healthy and they want to lose weight,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, somebody's like, oh, how are you doing? Oh, I lost 5 pounds. Well, if you look at it and you're like, 5 pounds, that's like a bag of flour, right? That's a lot. That's a win, right?
It sure
If
is.
you're creating a business and you do the next step, right? So
Mhm.
you put together a landing page or a website, that's a big step. Celebrate every moment.
And that ties us back to how you find the courage to shine and soar.
Exactly.
Because when you look at an eagle that's soaring, it's the wind that's lifting him. It's
Mhm.
not his power. It's the power of the energy around.
Well, that ties into a catchphrase that I have them, Barb. So for me,
Mhm.
again, it's about light and that confidence that radiates. So my catchphrase to people, I always tell people to catch the light, be the light, and then pass the light on.
Mhm.
So it's finding that confidence in you,
Mhm.
and now like really discovering it, and now it's within you,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you shine so bright, it's out there. You become like this beacon,
Mhm.
and so it's a different mindset.
It is. And
Mhm.
it's what's interesting is as we step into that new mindset, it's not that it's never a straight line, but it is something that once you step into it, you can't go back.
Right.
Like there's always more. Okay.
Right.
And what's more? Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not afraid of the what's more anymore. You know what I mean? If you take
Mhm.
that little step, I can go to the next step. I can go to the next step. You're not afraid anymore.
Yeah. So basically, your challenge for the women that are listening and watching is something relating to shining or soaring or both.
Both. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's both, right?
Mhm.
Shining yourself is about that, like that confidence.
Mhm.
And then again, just going forward with it.
Mhm.
Create your living legacy. Barb, you've heard of the Dash poem by Linda Ellis,
Yes. Mhm.
right? So think about this. This was one of those things where I got started. Like one of the reasons why Women's Touch got started and it says about how on our tombstone it's the date of our birth and the date of our death,
Mhm.
but our entire life is represented by that dash.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, don't you want your dash to matter, and don't you want it to mean something?
Mhm.
So huge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we have blown through 45 minutes
Wow.
so fast. I know, right?
Time goes
Absolutely.
fast.
So we
Listen,
will,
time goes fast when you're having fun.
it sure does. Yeah, it really does. Oh my goodness, this has been a blast. So as we're wrapping up, we will be putting contact information at the bottom. And Jody, you were talking about, you've got some things coming up with Women's Touch International.
I do. So I am putting together a series of mastery classes. So look for them where you'll be able to kind of fall into you and shine and soar. And so look for them. I'll be having information, and they'll be coming out at the end of October, beginning of November, where people can get involved. So if you want to help discover your identity and things, and change that mindset, have that positivity. One of my first programs is about relearning your ABCs. Attitude builds confidence. So, let's learn how to relearn our ABCs together.
Absolutely. And one of the things I can say working with Jody is you will laugh a lot.
Hmm.
So it's part of the fun of it. Yeah. And then for Sisters Rocking Courage, we have these courageous conversations going on every Friday right now for the next 6 weeks. So every Friday at 10, and they'll be on replay. And then we also have a couple of surprises that are coming up. We have a mastermind group that starts in the beginning of October. And so we'll put that information down below. That's a 90-day brand identity, like really get clear on what your brand is. And you do it with a group, and you also have one-on-one support for that as well. So if you're looking at or thinking or wondering how you can step into the space where you can start to soar and shine, where you can find the courage to do what you've been meaning to do, there are women around you. Just reach out. We're here. Contact us. Just drop us a message. No pressure at all.
Absolutely.
Drop us a message, and we'll have a chit chat with you, and really just be here to support for whatever that journey looks like for you, and whatever timing it looks like for you. It's been delightful, Jody.
Thank you, Barb. Yeah, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to thank you for all you do, and just you definitely shine. So you are a bright light, my friend.
When you talk about the surprises, it's just been amazing to see how much life changes when we start taking just one step, and then the view changes, right? And then you
Absolutely.
take that next step, and then the view changes. So
Mhm.
I'm just so grateful for all of you women, and just the fact that we've reconnected again has been amazing. And just what life can look like. It's you talked about it being an adventure, and it is now.
It is.
So
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mwah.
Till next time. See you, folks.
Bye.